Every time you complete a session or you're giving a break for the day or you're going to go for a sleep and then come back, continue with this training, one of the important things you should know that you can actually stop stop the instance. Now, stop a running instance on your AWS practice session will actually stop the clock of billing clock for this particular instance. So you don't want to have this running the entire night, because the entire night it's going to get charged for you, where it's going to use a CPU and memory which is assigned as part of this virtual machine. So to avoid that expensive bill, you can actually stop the instance from running. So you can see that after you stop the instance, you will no longer be charged for the usage or the data transfer fee for it. However, you'll be billed for associated resources such as the ESB volume and associated elastic IP address. So these two things are bare minimum charges, and the ESB volume is absolutely free because we are using what is allocated for our free space. So you kind of stop this, you click on the stop button and it will stop the instance, so which means that you will not be able to access this from your SSH client. One problem is that when you start up the instance again in the morning, just a bit before you start the workout, right? So you right click the instance and hit the start instance button. The one problem which you may find is that the IP would have changed. So you would have got a different elastic IP address, because this is not a fixed IP address, which is actually chargeable if you're going for a fixed IP address. So the IP address of this particular instance would change to a different one. So you have to copy the IP address, and then you need to go over here and edit this particular section with this IP address, what is the latest IP address you have, and then hit OK and then connect to the server. The PPK file, however, won't change because it will still be using the same key in terms of the security standpoint. The key file which will be used will be the same. So there's no change on the key file. So the password or the key authentication will remain as similar as it is. The only change would be the IP address. The installation of whatever you've done so far with this virtual machine will be all kept by itself. So if you are planning to, terminate this instance or to remove this instance, right? There's an option called terminate. So when you do the termination, do remember that the ESB backed instance, that is your root partition, which we have assigned 30 GB to it, all the data will be lost. So when you hit the terminate button, so do remember that before you hit the terminate button, if there is any backup which is required to be done. So for example, I did the installation of Docker here. So you can see the container D is installed in Docker-v still works. So I've stopped the instance yesterday night, and then I started it back today morning. And the content which I have on this is already there. So this is not a Docker instance, yeah? This is a permanent instance. Unless and until you terminate this instance, the items will not go away. There are also other partitions which you can create, and you can create separate volumes for these partitions, which we will talk in detail on AWS training. But the 30 GB of the space is currently assigned to that one volume, which is basically your root partition. So that's basically the volume ID, and the same volume ID will be mounted on this instance which we are running over here. So that is how the volume actually works. So you will see the volume detail here on the storage section. So you will see the volume ID over here, and you can see the throughput and all those monitoring related details of the volume. So this is what I wanted to tell you. It's very important that you snooze the instance. So let's see the billing over here, the cost management. So let's see what prices have come through. So for running this medium instance for yesterday, you can see that it is 0.17. So this is basically tells you that this may be the item which you may end up getting on the month end. So as you can see over here, this includes your AWS Elastic Cloud Computing, which is this guy over here, the blue one. and the tax which is applied on your local country, which is over there as well. So likewise, you have the total consumption, which is expected if you're gonna do the similar thing. So you kind of get assumption over here that it's gonna be 0.17, and it may increase, when we start using it more. So this is something which you should understand before you go forward. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you. I'll see you on the next one.